Alright, in this video I'm going to show you the difference between solving for an inequality in a linear one variable equation than the difference from solving an equation. So with an inequality we'll have something like this. There are very few differences, alright? One of the major differences is that we need to be able to read it the same even if we switch sides. So in a regular equation, if you have 2x plus 3 equals 4 and you switch it to be 4 equals 2x plus 3, those are obviously the same thing. In an inequality, if I switch these around and make it 4 is greater than or equal to 2x plus 3, that is something entirely different from 2x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 4. So if I switch sides, I need to switch the inequality around as well. This is telling me that this is bigger. So when I come down here, this should still be bigger. So it needs to be 4 is less than or equal to 2x plus 3. That's a major difference. Another major difference is if I multiply or divide by a negative number, and remember multiplication and division are the same, so whatever rules happen for multiplication, they also happen for division. If I multiply or divide for a negative number, I have to reverse the inequality around. And I'll show you why. If I have something like 4x plus 3 is greater than 2x minus 1. And I subtract 4x from this side, and I subtract 4x from this side. Let me change this. I don't like that example. It would have worked, but I don't like that example. So 4x plus 3 is greater than 6x plus 1. I'm going to subtract 6x here, which gives me negative 2x plus 3 is greater than 1. Subtract the 3. Negative 2x is greater than negative 2. Divide by negative 2. X is greater than 1. If I do that, what I've really done this whole time, division means broken into pieces. I'm trying to break this into negative pieces, which conceptually doesn't make sense. Dividing by a negative number, although we're allowed to do it, is not a thing that you can actually physically or conceptually do. So what we should have done here when we got to this step is we should have said negative 2x plus 3 greater than 1. I'm going to add 2x to each side. That gives me 3 is greater than 1 plus 2x. Now I can switch the sides of these. 1 plus 2x. Remember, this is greater, so over here the 3 has to be greater. So 1 plus 2x is less than 3. I subtract 1. 2x is less than 2. Divide by 2. X is less than 1. And notice that this is not the same as this. This one down here is the correct answer. Now we allow you to divide by a negative number, but if you divide or multiply by a negative number, this inequality has to flip around. So whenever I divide or multiply by a negative number, this has to go away, and I got to switch the sign. So it's got to become less than. X is less than 1. And the reason for that is really mathematically. You're adding it to the other side. You're switching the sides of the inequality, and then you're solving. I don't want to go through all those extra steps, so I'm going to take the shortcut. And just remember, if I multiply or divide by a negative, I flip the inequality. Really, that's about the only particular about this. If we have multiple inequalities, we treat them as two separate equations. So sometimes we'll have something like this. If we have something like this, what we're going to do is we're just going to separate out the two inequalities. This is one inequality. 13 is less than or equal to 2x plus 1. And this is an entirely different inequality. 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to 17. I go through the process of solving both of those. Minus 1, 12 is less than or equal to 2x. Divide by 2. 6 is less than or equal to x. Minus 1, 2x is less than or equal to 16. Divide by 2. X is less than or equal to 8. So I have two answers here. Now I'm going to put them back together. 6 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 8. And that's my final answer. And that's it. Those are the only differences between inequalities and regular equations.